So I have some genuinely great news for you today. Most of the stories that we have when you do news and politics are unfortunately stories of people doing things we don't want, bad things happen, things we have to resist. But here's a good story, something that we should welcome. And I'm doing this story knowing it's not going to get a lot of clicks. Not that many people care about it because I care about it. I think that this is good. The Latino civil rights organization, the League of United Latin American Citizens, has officially dropped Latinx as a gender neutral term for referring to Latino or Hispanic individuals, of which I am one. And the organization's president, Domingo Garcia, sent out an email last week saying, "We are stopping the use of Latinx in all communication. It's very unliked by most Latinos." And of course, that's a factor. That's something that certainly should be considered. Now, there are a ton of organizations still using it, but one organization saying we're not going to use it anymore is a good thing. And I've been against this term for a while. When people have asked about it, I've mentioned it anecdotally, but I've not really done a segment about it. As many of you know, I'm from Argentina, grew up speaking Spanish. My mom teaches Spanish literature and language at the college level, has for decades. With my family being from Argentina and politically involved, as you can imagine, this idea of Latinx, particularly in the United States, is something that I've been involved in, a dozen hours or more of discussion about over the years. I have been opposed to this term for a number of reasons. Now, first of all, Spanish is different than English, and it really makes no grammatical sense. Now, I know many, but wait, David, hold on a second, sir. Some people say referring to a trans person as they makes no grammatical sense. If it's the right thing to do, then it's the right thing to do. Okay. First of all, they singular actually makes plenty of sense if you look at the history of the English language. People actually use it even today all the time without even realizing they're using they to refer to one person. Latinx is a completely different category, but it's not wrong that one could argue, even if it makes no grammatical sense, we might say, for reasons of justice and equity, let's make it part of the language if you want. Okay, we go to the next issue. The problem with Latinx is that it did not stem from a desire from within the global Latino community to change language to be more gender inclusive or gender neutral. Latinx was pushed primarily by non-Latino people. The origins aren't 100% clear. It might have been academic in origin. It might have come from the feminist community. There were a number of professors in the US who at one point argued for changing the term Chicano to Chicanx rather than Chicano, Chicana, Chicanx. And at the same time, there might have been some people who said, let's do the same thing with Latinx. But the point is, it was mostly embraced by non-Latino people. And in survey after survey, almost no Latino folks actually used the term or preferred it, and many didn't even know what it was. I once hosted an awards show for a Latino organization, and on the scripts they sent me for introducing different awards, it said Latinx. And I said, listen, guys, I don't speak that way. My audience knows I don't speak that way. It's going to be very obviously not genuine if all of a sudden I'm saying Latinx. And they said, okay, don't use it. And the ease with which they just said, don't use it, signaled to me this may be going out at some point soon. So the point here isn't language can't change over time. Of course it can. We don't use the R word as an insult. I mean, listen, there are people that do, but I cringe when I hear someone use the R word as an insult. We don't call people, or I don't, the F word as an insult. At least many of us don't. We don't say, or I don't, that's gay when I want to say something is bad. And that has sort of removed itself from the culture because the culture is what changed, not because it was suddenly said the word is done. There, of course, have been attempts to say in a school setting or whatever, we don't use this word or we don't use that word or here's the word that you use. But that's fundamentally my real issue with Latinx. This was not a cultural movement from within whose natural conclusion was, let's use the term Latinx rather than Latino or Latina. It was from above, let's just change the language. and then we'll fix the other stuff that comes with it. And of course, we can deal with the issues of gender inequality within the Latino community, et cetera, without having to come in and say, this is now the word that is being used. So I like that it was dropped in this case. I think it's a good thing. I hope it goes away completely. I'm going to continue not using the word while I fight and argue for all of the very things that the word's imposition was theoretically supposed to push. Let me know your thoughts if you have them. I know for a lot of people, this is like not even really an issue at all. It's just not something you think about. Something that's not. It's not even in sort of the discussion for lots of folks. Something I've been following for a while, and glad to see the decision. Quite frankly.